Hi beautiful ladies, welcome back to my channel. So a few of you have left some questions in my comments on various videos asking for my advice, and I thought that it would be easier and more beneficial to create a video to answer your question. For the benefit of yourself, you can come back and refer to this video, but also for the benefit of your peers and other Black exoticals who may have similar questions. If you ever have any questions, feel free to leave a comment underneath my videos, or it's best to send me an email. So you can go ahead and send your questions, comments, or any stories that you would like for me to share to the blackexotical@gmail.com. And I'll also put my email address on the screen and in the description. All right, so this first question says, please help me with this. I'm an attractive, unambiguous Black woman, and I recently started wearing weaves. There is this Asian woman that I work with who makes it her duty to always comment and be weird about my hair. My supervisor does the same thing. She's an older white woman. They sort of gang up on me. How do I deal with this without coming across as insecure? This is a great question. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing. And this is very common with exoticals and just pretty women in general. I've spoken about this in previous videos, but right off the bat, while I was reading this question, I immediately thought of jealousy and envy from older women. This is something that exists in any social setting. Older women who they have regret about their life choices. Maybe they weren't able to make decisions that they see you making. And so they kind of have that jealousy and angst. They've never reconciled or come to terms with their own identity. They kind of just lived life to please other people. They live life to conform to societal standards. This is very common amongst Gen Xers and boomers. They come from a generation where you kind of had to abide. Your identity was based upon what society told you your identity was. Whether that was to be a mother, whether that was to get married at a young age and serve your husband. They were big on identity and respectability politics. So you had to be ultra modest as a way to kind of show that you are a virtuous woman, especially if you were a married woman or a mother. And so a lot of this kind of jealousy is masked as them judging you. But now things have changed for millennials and Gen Zers and beyond. And we're kind of paving our own path and saying that we're not going to conform to what people tell us that we ought to do. We're creating our own identities, and we conform to individuality more than collectivism. So just to provide that context, it's not to excuse their behavior because it's still gross, but just so that you understand where these women are coming from, so that you can know within yourself that you're not the problem. A lot of non-Black women are jealous of Black identified women across different skin tones and shades and phenotypes because of the versatility of our hair, which is also why I tell Black exoticals who are unambiguous to freely and unapologetically claim their exotical title, because a lot of white women especially are jealous of women of color because we look exotic, because we look different, and they know that their beauty standard is modeled off of our appearance. So the lip fillers, it's to mimic women of African descent who have fuller lips. Them getting tans, like it's to mimic women who have darker skin naturally, like without having to go to a tanning bed. The big hair trend is coming back. So some of these women, they won't wear their hair curly per se, but they will put in rollers and get blowouts because they want that big voluminous look that women with afro textured hair has naturally. So when you come in to a conservative work environment with this look, and you challenge stereotypes of you being ghetto, the ghetto, uneducated, unlearned jigaboo, if you will, this creates a lot of cognitive dissonance that a lot of white women and white adjacent women, like Asian women who benefit from white privilege in a lot of cases, that they haven't reconciled. Because especially for Asian women, there's this nuance where they were seen as and Asian men as well, they were seen as the preferred immigrant. They were seen as the preferred ethnicity outside of whiteness. Like, those are the good immigrants. Those are the good coloreds, if you will. That comes from a lot of things that have happened within the Black community. Honestly, that was the Black community's own fault. But both parties, white and Asian, have kind of to paint everyone with this broad paintbrush, including women who do not fit that narrative. It's like they want to hold the narrative that you are truly ghetto, you are truly unlearned, and that you do not deserve to be in that space, because they want to uphold the hierarchy, which is why I say that as a Black exotical, you need to center yourself, you need to pedestalize yourself, and that comes with finding strategies to social climb so that you can social climb and be able to navigate the world, essentially, because the world is not fair for any human being, regardless of your ethnicity, skin color, phenotype, whatever. And this is just one example of how it plays out for Black exoticals, or any exotical for that matter. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Them trying to make fun of your hair because they know that hair is also a sensitive subject for many Black identified women. That's a humbling tactic and a shaming tactic that they're trying to use to make you feel insignificant and to make you feel like you do not belong in that space because you don't look like them. You're not white, so you don't benefit from white privilege, quote unquote, and you're not Asian, so you're not the preferred good colored. It's important to note that this does not apply to every Asian and white woman. There's a lot of Asian women who also have to contend with racial nuances, and there are a lot of Asian and white women who are good allies. They value quality work ethic over the color of your skin and your phenotype and how you look. So please don't believe or think that every Asian and white woman is the devil. That's not what I'm trying to say here. This also applies to older women as well. Not every older woman is out to get younger women. Not every older woman is the devil. What I am trying to say is that there are a small subset of women who I just mentioned that have insecurities that they probably don't even realize that they have, that they haven't worked through. And so they project these inappropriate behaviors onto women who trigger them. And a lot of times, just based on that person's worldview and perspective, that can play out through racism, ageism, and other forms of intimidation. Here are some ways to navigate this. So, number one, in general, I would just keep my hairstyles relatively neutral and consistent in the workplace so that you keep the focus on your work and less on your appearance. Okay? And that doesn't mean that you need to look boring and old ladyish because that's what they want. You need to step on next when you're in the workplace. As I've said before, you need to use your pretty privilege as a tool to get ahead in conjunction with your skills and your aptitude to do your work. Okay, so do not diminish your look in any way, but keep your hairstyles neutral and consistent. This is also a rule that's just generally expected regardless of your race or gender, especially in more conservative corporate environments. So even like women, like you'll see some girls, like they'll have like a bunch of tattoos and like the side of their head is shaved or like their hair is blue. That wouldn't be accepted even if you're a white woman in corporate, unless like, I don't know, you're in a very liberal like marketing agency, then maybe you can pass with that. But best believe if you're in a more conservative setting like banking or law or accounting or anything like that, where you're dealing with a lot of money and a lot of high stake clients, people are going to talk about you behind your back. Okay. If you're a white woman, people will talk about you because like you have this unspoken acceptance where because that structure was built by white men for you and you benefit from that, they're not going to outwardly dog you because you're one of them. And then on the flip side, if you're a woman of color, they're not going to outwardly dog you because they don't want to be called racist and they don't want to have any issues with HR. So they may tolerate you to your face, but behind your back, they're talking about you. And this could impact your ability to get promoted. I know it's not fair, but it is what it is. So you need to play the game and you need to play the game well. I would go on Pinterest, honestly, and just look up like hairstyles for like corporate hairstyles for Black girls. A nice simple sew-in with leave out looks good, or a wig or a closure, whatever looks just simple, looks fine. I personally would not go over 20 inches. I would save that for when you're out of work. Whatever you want to do outside of work is your business, but when you're in the office, keep it very simple. I have natural hair, so my hair is 3B, 3C. I wear a wash and go, and sometimes I'll switch it up and put it like in a slick back, like textured ponytail, or I'll do like a half up, half down, or like those updos are coming back in style, so I kind of do like a nice updo, or sometimes I'll straighten my hair. I typically wear my hair straight during the winter months. And I'll just kind of like wear the same styles. I don't really experiment with color when I'm in corporate. If I do want to experiment with color, I get some colored clip-ins so I can have highlights, and I wear that outside of work. But that's just so that there's no distractions and I'm not giving these people any ammunition to use against me to be like, oh, well, she's a really good worker, but her hair is such a distraction. Like, don't diminish yourself, but don't give these people any leeway to take away from your work. And again, this strategy is to avoid jealousy. It's not your problem how people feel about you, and it's honestly not fair that you have to deal with this, but you have to play chess if you want to make it in these environments. I would also just avoid being confrontational. It can be interpreted as you being the aggressive Black girl, and I would just honestly deflect. So when they bring it up, I would just give very short, indirect answers and quickly change the subject. Or, just hi, bye. So when they say, oh, nice hair, thank you, and just walk to your desk. When you have this disposition and you keep it professional and neutral, they can't say, oh, this girl is rude. The worst that they can say to you is, oh, you're just super professional. It kind of gives it gives a social cue that you don't want to talk about your hair and that you're just there for work. And that's all that you're expected to do. Like, one critique, if you will, that people have about me when I was in corporate, it was like, oh, Black Exotical, you're just super professional. Your emails are super professional. Every time I work with you, you're just so professional. You're one of the quieter ones on the team. And it's like, they're saying that like as like a nice, nasty compliment. Like, it's a compliment to be professional, but not if you're a Black identified woman, because Black identified women, like, no shade, have kind of set a lot of Black women have kind of set the precedent of us being the entertainment, kind of like the jigaboo, like, oh, I'm here to entertain you. I'm gonna be kind of that ethnic, like, ghetto, fabulous comic relief, if you will, in the workplace. And when you show up as someone who's about her business, you're I guess you're friendly, you're respectful, you're approachable, but like you still have enough boundaries to keep it professional. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, that challenges everything I know about women who look like you. And so it has this cognitive dissonance where they can't keep their heads wrapped around it. So honestly, for low tier fruit, I've noticed that the people who have a problem with this are the people who are at the bottom anyway and who have been in the same position for like 10 plus years. So don't even pay them any mind or look to them. But the people who are at the top are the ones who appreciate this characteristic the most, because they're like, okay, this also tells me that not only is she professional and she looks good, like she's going to make my company look good, but also like she's discreet. And discretion is a big thing that is valued in corporate settings, because when you're dealing with a lot of high stake clients, or you're dealing with a lot of high stake projects, you need to be discreet. They want to know that you don't have loose lips and that you're not going to just blab your business to everyone outside of the workplace. They're going to know that you're able to deal with an NDA type of project, no problem. You can truly use these characteristics to your benefit so that you can social climb, and get ahead. So take heart, my dear. I know that it may not be the easiest thing to go through, but you're not alone. There are a lot of it girls who are going through the same thing, but these simple tips will help you to navigate and kind of give you some peace of mind. And honestly, network as well. Get around other types of people, get around mentors outside of your manager who can speak your name in places where it matters. When you have someone advocating for you, it does make a difference. And guess what? People in the higher ups, they know who is who. They know who the chicken heads are. They know who the eagles are in the organization. But sometimes the chicken heads win because they're the loudest, and it's easier to just deal with them that way. So yes, network, that can mean getting a mentor, that can mean joining committees so that you have visibility and people know who you are. And your manager and your supervisor honestly will have no leg to stand on if they try to fire you or intimidate you, because you're the shining star in the corporation and they just have to sit there and seethe and be jealous even more. Okay, let me know what you think about this one. Have you dealt with a similar situation? Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to submit your questions in the comments or via email. See you in the next video. Bye.